In the heart of Dubai, where tradition meets modernity, Amina's wedding night should have been a new beginning. But when her husband discovered the secret world she hid behind closed doors, the wedding night turned into a nightmare that shattered their lives forever. For more gripping true crime stories that expose the dark secrets hidden behind closed doors, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. But let's go back to where it all began. Amina had dreamed of this day since she was a little girl growing up in the shimmering city of Dubai, a place where the call to prayer echoed alongside the roar of luxury cars and towering skyscrapers. The wedding was a celebration of not only love but also honor, family, and faith. Draped in a richly embroidered ivory abaya, her henna-stained hands trembled slightly as she whispered prayers for a future filled with happiness. The grand ballroom of the five-star hotel glittered under ornate chandeliers, the scent of jasmine and oud filling the air. Family and friends dressed in their finest had gathered to witness the union, their eyes shining with hope and expectations deeply rooted in tradition. Her husband, Tariq, a man known for his strict adherence to religious and cultural customs, had built his life around the unyielding values of honor and respect. He believed marriage was sacred, a covenant meant to be unblemished by past secrets. From the moment Amina said yes to him, she painstakingly guarded her most controversial secret, an OnlyFans account she had created months earlier, hiding behind a pseudonym and layers of privacy in a city where such things were forbidden and scandalous. The ceremony was perfect, almost too perfect, a facade masking the growing tension beneath. In the privacy of their honeymoon suite, an exquisite blend of traditional decor and modern elegance, Tariq's discovery came like a storm. His eyes widened as he scrolled through the messages, photos, and videos. A digital world Amina had kept hidden, a world inconceivable to him and utterly incompatible with his beliefs. The shock turned to rage, and in that moment, the loving husband transformed into an unforgiving judge of honor. Their vows, spoken just hours earlier in front of family and God, were now broken shards of a shattered trust. Amina pleaded for understanding, but Tariq's fury blinded him, and honor demanded a price. The night that was meant to unite two souls ended in tragic violence, a brutal reminder of the deadly consequences of secrets in a culture where the past is never truly left behind. This is the story of a Muslim bride whose life was stolen not by fate but by the unforgiving grip of honor and tradition in one of the world's most opulent cities. Subscribe now to follow the shocking unpacking of this case and the silent struggles faced by women caught between faith, expectation, and freedom. But let's rewind to understand the pressures Amina faced, the life she led before the wedding day, and the choices that sealed her fate. The hours leading up to Amina's wedding were a whirlwind of ritual, hope, and tightly coiled nerves. She moved through it all as if in a dream, smiling for photos, reciting verses, fielding relatives' questions about her future, her studies, her plans to build a family steeped in tradition. In these moments, guilt simmered beneath the surface. The secret she'd been carrying weighed on her more than the elaborate jewelry draped across her wrists. Her OnlyFans account was never supposed to be permanent, just a desperate solution to family debts and the mounting medical expenses her younger brother faced. Amina reasoned with herself that as long as her face remained hidden and her Muslim identity carefully shielded, she could control the boundaries, and eventually erase the past when the crisis was over. She blocked anyone with names or locations that hinted at the Gulf, meticulously double-checked VPN settings, and lied to herself that with enough planning, secrets could really stay buried. Tariq, meanwhile, spent the hours after the celebration poring over congratulatory messages from friends and family. He fielded WhatsApp memes and pious marriage advice from mosque brothers, basking in the role of provider and protector. He knew of temptation in Dubai, temptation of every kind. But his trust in Amina was absolute, fortified by her conservative upbringing and the trust secured through their family's arrangements. As the newlyweds retreated to their lavish suite, the atmosphere shifted. Amina's veil felt heavy, symbolizing not just modesty but a curtain of lies closing in around her. While she changed for the night, her phone, synced to her laptop and carelessly left open on the vanity, lit up with a notification from an encrypted subscription service. Tariq noticed. Curiosity, then suspicion, drove him to open the app. In seconds, he was transported to a world where the lines between private struggle and public shame blurred violently. Her carefully constructed layers fell apart in a flash. The username, the blurred face that was still recognizably hers, and the timing, recent, shockingly recent. His hands shook as he scrolled through messages from anonymous men, some Western, some unmistakably local. He recognized a subscriber username. The wave of humiliation and betrayal was swift, followed by a volcanic rage threatening to explode. Amina emerged to find Tariq pale and silent, her phone extended in his hand. What followed wasn't shouting but a cold, deadly quiet. Through clenched teeth, Tariq accused her of disgracing not just him, but both their families and their shared faith. She pleaded, explaining finances, desperation, never meaning for anyone close to find out, but each word only deepened the breach. He paced the suite, his anger growing heavier than the marble pillars and golden drapes. "You made a fool of me. You made a mockery of our vows. In Dubai, in this faith, do you know what you've done?" His voice barely above a whisper, but laced with danger. Amina's strength held only so long. As dawn approached, neither could see a path back. Fear, shame, and rage left no room for mercy. The suite that had been a symbol of promise was now a prison of shame, for both of them. Their story was about to turn from nightmare into tragedy. And by sunrise, Dubai would wake to a crime scene no one could speak of openly, but everyone would feel in their bones. The morning light filtered through the sheer curtains, painting the suite in soft gold, but the silence was unbearable. Amina sat motionless on the edge of the plush bed, her heart pounding in her chest like a desperate prayer. Tariq stood near the window, staring out but seeing nothing, his jaw rigid. In those hours before the inevitable, memories flooded Amina's mind. The laughter of childhood evenings with her family, the protective arms of her mother, the whispered dreams she shared with her younger siblings. She had always been the dutiful daughter, the one who carried the family's hopes like a lifeline. Yet those dreams collided violently with the harsh, unforgiving reality of honor in their world. Tariq's heartbreak twisted itself into something darker than sorrow. His image of a pure, unblemished marriage crumbled, revealing a man torn between love and wrath. The messages on his phone haunted him, each one a fresh wound. The betrayal was not only personal, it was a dishonor before God and family, a stain he felt compelled to erase. Questions reverberated silently in the room. Was love enough to overcome the weight of cultural expectations? Could the hidden sins of the past be forgiven when faith demanded purity? Tariq's mind swung between these agonizing divides, his rage bubbling beneath a veneer of solemnity. The doorbell of fate rang harshly when Tariq's phone buzzed with messages from his family, their voices full of expectation and advice, laced with warnings about honor's price. They were on their way, his father, his mother, ready to judge the bride's alleged sins and decide her fate based on their shared creed. Amina knew there was no escape, no reprieve from the judgment that awaited. The only world she had dreamt of, one of love, faith, and family, was vanishing before her eyes in a brutal crucible of tradition and secrecy. Eyes locked in words unspoken, the couple braced for a reckoning that would change everything. This was beyond a broken marriage, it was a clash of cultures, faith, and the fragile, desperate fight for survival. And behind closed doors, Dubai's luxury masked one of its darkest stories yet. A story of love lost, secrets revealed, and a life cut tragically short. The world beyond the suite would soon know the cost of bearing secrets in a city where honor was a knife sharper than any blade. The knock on the door was hesitant, but it echoed like thunder through the suite. Tariq's parents, steeped in years of tradition and religious conviction, stepped inside, faces etched with worry and righteous indignation. Their presence was a summons to judgment, a stark reminder that honor was collective, not just individual. Amina rose, trembling not just from fear but from the crushing weight of generations who had sacrificed for reputation and social standing. Her pleas fell on ears deafened by the ironclad code of honor. Tariq's mother, a matriarch who had long groomed her son to uphold family values, spoke with icy finality. "In our faith, purity must be honored. What you hide is not just a secret, it is a sin that stains us all." Arguments flared, accusations flying like daggers masked in religious rhetoric. Amina's voice broke as she explained the desperation that had driven her to these hidden acts, the debts, the fear, the need to protect her family in ways that clashed violently with the rules they all lived by. But there was no room for empathy in this court of bloodline and faith. Tariq stood rigid, torn between the wife he loved and the legacy he was sworn to defend. The night wore on, a grim theatre where forgiveness was foreign and retribution was expected. The walls, adorned with intricate Islamic calligraphy, seemed to close in, whispering stories of justice and punishment that echoed through the ages. As the first light of dawn approached, an unspoken decision hung heavy, one that would transform the tragic secret into a violent verdict. Amina's fate, bound by the sacred laws and the unforgiving gaze of family, was sealed in the quiet dread of that hotel suite. The city of Dubai, renowned for its dazzling skyline and progressive facade, concealed in its shadows a lethal clash between modern desires and ancient codes. This story, of love, secrets, and deadly consequences, reminds us all that beneath the glitter, some truths are too dangerous to reveal. Despite Dubai's modern, cosmopolitan image, cases like Amina's reveal the deadly clash between faith, family honor, and individual freedoms. Honor killings, though officially condemned and increasingly criminalized in countries like the United Arab Emirates, persist due to deep-rooted cultural norms that still prioritize family reputation over women's lives. Recent legal reforms in the UAE have removed lenient penalties previously given for so-called honor crimes, replacing them with stricter sentences including life imprisonment or death, signaling a significant shift in official attitudes toward such violence. Amina's murder was more than a crime of passion, it was a calculated enforcement of brutal cultural expectations, where a woman's past, especially involving sexuality, is often viewed as a stain on the entire family's honor. The tragic outcome serves as a stark reminder of the invisible chains many women live under, pressured to conform in silence, with dire consequences for breaking taboos. Her story, though set against the backdrop of luxury in Dubai, mirrors thousands of honor killings reported annually across the Middle East and surrounding regions, where estimates reach into the thousands, but many cases go unreported or disguised to protect family names. These killings are typically collective decisions, sanctioned by family members who believe violence is the only way to restore honor. Amina's legacy is a call to awareness and change, a poignant example of the lethal price paid when societal expectations and personal freedoms collide with devastating consequences. Her death challenges viewers to question honor, justice, and compassion, and underscores the urgent need for ongoing legal reform and cultural dialogue to protect vulnerable women trapped in the crossfire of tradition and modernity. Thank you for following this story. For more in-depth, carefully researched true crime narratives that explore the intersection of culture, faith, and violence, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Together, we can learn from these tragedies and advocate for a future where stories like Amina's are no longer repeated.